Hi, this is Asa, and welcome to my audio experience.
Choices we make every single day, you know what? It matters. Our choices matter. So whatever you do with your health doesn't matter, okay, as far as your outcome is going to be dependent on your choices. You eat healthy every single day, guess what? You're going to have good health. You exercise, you're going to be fit, you're going to be trim, you're going to have good health. You don't, you won't. So it's one of those things where you have to make the right choices every single day. And on this show, we want to help you do that. Let's get on the phones and go with Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
Are there any nuts which are good for you if you're having GABA issues? Probably have fructose malabsorption, if not hereditary fructose intolerance, and numerous food allergies and chemical sensitivities.
Yeah, with all that going on, the nuts you want to stay clear of, if you have GABA issues and you want to keep your GABA levels up, really it's almonds, Brazil nuts, and walnuts. I mean, those are all great nuts too, right? So they're really good. But those are the ones that really tend to be, that can affect GABA levels in a negative way. It doesn't mean don't ever eat them, but it just means if you eat them a lot on a regular basis, and that's a big part of your diet, you probably want to get more variety. One of the great nuts that I like are macadamia nuts. They really are in a general sense, they don't affect a lot of areas negatively. They're really great for our hormones. Our hormones are very supported by macadamia nuts. It's a monounsaturated oil. It's very, very similar to the same kind of fat that's in avocados. So it's really, really good for maintaining healthy testosterone levels in men and good progesterone estrogen balance in women. So those are really good sources. But if you deal with GABA issues, you want to stay away from wheat products too, though. It's not just nuts. Wheat is a big one. So any kind of like gluten-based foods, bread, pasta, cereal, crackers, all that can make a big difference if you deal with GABA issues. And of course, GABA is the main brain chemical for anxiety. So if somebody struggles with anxiety, they have low GABA levels. And that's one of the big issues. So GABA is a real key, but your foods can make a big difference. Now, foods that can help GABA levels are fish, except salmon, unfortunately. Salmon, one that can trigger it. You want to stay away from spinach. You want to stay away from a lot of the beans, although chickpeas are good. So a lot of those different foods can make a big, big difference in your GABA levels, and then sugar, of course. I mean, all the junk food is a given. Don't even touch that. But you can create better balance. I've got a whole listing of that. If you go to the website, I've got articles on this where we talk about the different brain foods and what can help different areas. So like acetylcholine, which has to do with cognition and memory, or serotonin, which has to do with feeling good, dopamine, which is that feel-good brain chemical. Those are the ones you can look at and really see a good overall game plan. All right, 888-283-7272. That's 888-283-7272. Give us a call or go to the website. What about our kids today? We all think that maybe kids grow up too fast. We always talk about that when they're little. But they're finding now that in some ways a trend tends to be that U.S. teenagers are maturing a lot slower than in past generations. So high school kids today are less likely to be drinking or having sex, they say, versus their counterparts in the 80s and the 90s. But they're also less likely to go on dates, have a part-time job, or drive. Traditional milestones along the path to adulthood that we've seen are slowing down. So it's the slower development. Is it good or is it bad? We've kind of go back and forth with it, but it may depend on how you look at it, the researchers said. According to life history, a theory that they've had in a lot of the psychology, neither fast nor slow development is inherently good or bad. It just depends. So there's a lot of trade-offs on each path, they say. Twenge, which is a Gene Twenge, which is a professor of psychology at San Diego State University, said the upside of slower development is that teens aren't growing up before they're ready. I tend to agree with that. But the downside is they go to college and into the workplace without as much experience, with not as much independence. So that can be a challenge too. So I think that if you ask any college professor, they'll tell you that students these days are woefully unprepared in basic life skills. But, again, it's not to say that teens should be rushing into adulthood. And I think that happened a lot, definitely in the 80s and 90s, at the time period that I grew up and was in that age bracket. And I can just see a handful of people that I grew up around, some that had to grow up super, super fast due to their family situations, and some that didn't. So I think there's definitely a balance between the two. But they found that by early 2010, high school seniors were online for an average of 11 hours per week, but pointed out that patterns seen in the study began before widespread internet use. So the internet has played a big role, too, in a lot of the slowdown of what's been going on. So, again, patterns. When you start looking at health, mental health is a big piece of that. And development to get somebody, so if they're struggling with anything, doesn't matter if it's diabetes or heart disease or blood pressure, or if it's just something as simple as maturity. It comes down to the way we think. It comes down to the people that are influencing in our lives. It comes down to the people that are making an impact and really teaching those kind of core principles. And our health is determined by our choices. So no one can take responsibility more for your health than you. And if we're talking about young people, then parents, that's a responsibility that we have to make an impact and to really leave an example and lead by example to them. So I think that there's a lot of differences that need to be looked at. But it's interesting because they say they don't know that it's good or bad in something like this. They don't know that if the development, slower development, is really good or bad. I think it really comes down to the individual person and the family and where they're headed. So that's what I would look at. 888-283-7272. That's 888-283-7272. We've got Jeff in Phoenix, Arizona. This says, what do I need to do to increase testosterone? Well, Jeff, to increase testosterone levels, one of the big things you've got to do is get your lab testing done with saliva. If you need help with that, you've got to figure out how much the body is actually producing of the hormone. That's the key first. Puts another hour in the charts. I want to thank our producer, G.G. Allen, our executive engineer, John Garrison, and the rest of the team. Go tell one person something you learned on the show. Together, we can transform the health of our friends, our families, and our communities. You're listening to the show. It helps you get well, stay well.
This show is designed to provide accurate information of a general nature on the subject matter covered, and given with the understanding that neither the host nor the station is engaged with rendering any form of medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. This information is not approved by the FDA and is not intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any disease.
Hi, it's Asa. I'm giving you a copy of my best-selling book for free to help you in your health journey today. I'll pay for the book. All you do is just cover the small shipping and handling costs. Go to asarx.com and get your free book today.